Hello, beautiful and amazing people. How have you been? I do hope you're all having a wonderful and fantastic day so far. Welcome once again to English Listening Fluency channel. This is a hub for people wanting to enhance or improve their English skills. And for those of you who just stumbled upon this video, a warm welcome to you. And my invitation, why don't you hop right in and be part of our English learners family? Alrighty, folks. Today we will talk about English phrases. You see, learning English phrases is a good start to actually speak the language. Knowing English grammar and all its rules are good. But believe you me, that's not a guarantee that you can speak the language. We know that for a fact that so many people will say, I can understand most of what you say in English, but I am not very good at speaking it. Now, can you relate to that? Okay, I feel you people. Now, here is one of the solutions. Knowing and memorizing a lot of English phrases can help you in your speaking ability, and it will come handy. Okay, so this time we will give you some of the basic phrases that you can use daily. Alrighty, so let's start with this phrase. I really appreciate. Now, this phrase, you can use this to thank someone. For example, you might say, I really appreciate your help. Or you can combine this phrase too. Thanks so much for keeping me company. I really appreciate it. Or you could say, thanks so much. I really appreciate your sacrifices to come this far to be with me. Okay, the phrase again, I really appreciate it. So this is very handy because everybody and every day we are receiving favor from someone, no matter how small it is. We should show our appreciation. So it will motivate them to do more for us, right? Now, for our next phrase, excuse me. I know that we heard this so many times, and sometimes we cannot even determine which is which and how to use this correctly. Okay, now, excuse me, when you need to get through, but there is someone blocking your way, we can use this phrase, excuse me. Or you can use this to politely get someone's attention. For example, excuse me, sir, I need to pass. Or, excuse me, ma'am, you drop your wallet. Or you could say, excuse me, I have to pass through this way. Or, excuse me, do you know what time it is? There you go. And now be careful when you use this phrase because you don't want to sound sarcastic. You know, some people will play with this phrase and they would say, excuse me? You see how it sounds? That's very sarcastic. So you need to be polite. This is the way how you do it politely. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, sir. And you have to do it smoothly too, all right? So you can get favor from these people. Remember, we're asking favor, okay? So, but we have to do it politely. All right, that's the phrase, excuse me. Now, our next phrase is, I am sorry. Use this phrase to apologize, whether for something big or small, and use the word for to give more detail. Now, we know for a fact that apologizing is hard, especially when our ego gets in the way. But of course, we know better than that we should apologize for something big or small things that we do for other people so that we can, it's a sign of maturity. Okay. All right. So how are we going to use this? This is for the example on how to use it. I am sorry for being so rude yesterday. Or, I am sorry for the mess. I was not expecting anyone today. So you can also use the word really to show that you are very sorry for something. For example, you could say, I am really sorry. I did not invite you to the party. We don't have the time. Okay, so now let's move on to our next phrase. What do you think? Again, the phrase is, what do you think? When you want to hear someone's opinion on a topic, use this question. For example, I am not sure if we should go to the party tonight. What do you think? Here's another example. I am not sure if I have to buy a new computer. What do you think? All right, so this phrase again, what do you think? Now we use this phrase when we ask someone their opinion of a certain topic. Okay, so people, as I said, these phrases will come handy. So it's easier for you to memorize them. So you will be able to use it anytime, at any moment. So memorizing is another key for these phrases to become useful to you. All right, so let's move on to our next phrase. Our next phrase is, how does that sound? How does that sound? If you suggest an idea or plan, use this phrase to find out what others think. For example, we could have breakfast at 7 and then go to the beach. How does that sound? Or another example, let's gather our friends to come over and talk about our fundraising. How does that sound? Now you see, this phrase is handy if we want to suggest an idea and let's see what others think about it. Okay, so this is, how does that sound? Now the key here is try to practice saying this phrase over and over and over again so it sounds so smooth and it sounds native. Okay, so we cannot emulate the native speakers in a way, but at least we try to sound like it's not bumpy, right? Okay, so repeat it over and over again so it sounds smooth. All right, now let's move on to our next phrase. Now, for our next phrase, this is actually a response to the phrase, how does that sound? Okay, this phrase is, that sounds great. Now, if you like an idea, you can respond to, how does that sound, with this phrase, great. Or you can replace it with any other synonym, similar word, such as awesome, perfect, excellent, or fantastic. For example, my mom is cooking dinner. We could go to my house and eat. How does that sound? And the response could be, that sounds fantastic, or that sounds awesome, or that sounds perfect. Now for our next phrase, give me a break. All right, again, give me a break, meaning stop being so rigid. Try to be a little considerate or ease up a little bit. Okay, so for example, someone is pestering you for money, for example, so you would say, oh, come on, give me a break. Okay, so that means try to give yourself a break for something. Okay. Here you are asking the person to give you a little consideration or understanding. Okay, so that's the phrase, give me a break. Our next phrase is, stop being too hard on yourself. Again, stop being too hard on yourself. Now, this phrase, we can give this as a sort of an advice to someone who is undergoing, for example, heartbreak or some sort of problems, and you see that the person is, losing it. That means you have to give that person an advice to, be strong. Don't give in to whatever problems you're facing right now. This is just temporary. So instead of going into details, you can use this phrase, stop being too hard on yourself. Okay, so again, you have to do this. Repeat these phrases over and over again so it sounds smooth. Okay, so that's our phrase. Next, let's go on. Next phrase is, how's your work going? How's your work going? So it's just like questioning, how are you? How's everything? How's your job at this very moment? Is everything okay? So this is, how's your work going? So this is very handy for just like casual, casual meeting, to your casual conversation to your friends or anyone you just meet casually. So you can just say, instead of being quiet, and it's very uncomfortable situation when you are facing with someone and quiet, so you have to break the ice. So this conversation is handy too. How's everything? How is it going? How is your work going? How is your job? Okay, so this one you could say, how's your work going? Our next phrase is, have you heard the good news? Have you heard the good news? Again, repeat with me. Have you heard the good news? Now, this phrase meaning something great happened and you want to share it. Now, probably the answer would be, not really. What is it? Okay, for example, the answer would be, oh, Mr. So and so just got married. Okay, so again, have you heard the good news? Again, the meaning is something great happened and you want to share it. So it is a good way to, approach someone or to open up the conversation to your friends that, you wanted to share something happened, something great happened, and you want to share it with them. So this is a good phrase to memorize and to know when and how to use it. Have you heard the good news? Okay, that's another phrase, okay? Okay, our next phrase is, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Meaning, when someone gives you a lot of excuses and you want a positive result or response, so you would say, I don't want to hear anything other than the positive result that you are expecting. For example, you give someone to submit a report, and then the allotted time of a deadline came, and then you approached that person and you said, what happened to the report? Today is the deadline. And the person would say, there is no electricity, whatever. So you cut it off and you would say, I don't want to hear that. Meaning, you have to give me that report whether you like it or not. I am not accepting any more of your excuses. So that's what you would say. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Again, I don't want to hear that. Okay, that's another phrase that will become handy for your English listening skills. Okay, so next phrase is, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Now here, this phrase means I cannot handle it anymore. The problem is too heavy. The situation is too big for you to handle. So when someone asks you, how's everything? We know that you're undergoing some sort of a problem in your life. How is it going now? And you say, I'm losing it, meaning you cannot handle it anymore. You need some help. The problem is too heavy or too big for you to solve. So you would say, I'm losing it, or he's losing it, she's losing it. Okay? Again, the meaning, the problem is too heavy to handle and you need some help this time. Okay? Right. That's the phrase, I'm losing it. Now for our next phrase, I've lost my touch on something. For example, you would say, I've lost my touch in cooking, meaning I'm not as good as before. Or you would say, I've lost my touch in dancing. I'm not as good dancer as before. Or I've lost my touch in singing. I'm not as a good singer as before. I'm not as a good singer as before. So the phrase is, I've lost my touch. And then you have to add what kind of talent or expertise that you lost touch with. Okay? I've lost my touch. All right. Next phrase is, stay out of trouble, meaning don't do anything that will lead to problems. Okay? For example, you would tell your sons or your daughters, if they will ask to go out for a party, for example, okay, and you would say, okay, but remember, stay out of trouble, meaning don't do anything that will lead to problems. So there we go, people. I hope that I gave you another valuable, useful, and beneficial lessons to take with you this time. And remember, according to Abigail Adams, learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended with diligence. So there you go, people. Let's continue moving forward and upward. Thank you once again for keeping me company. Thank you for your love, my delightful English family. I love you guys. Stay safe. May God bless us all. Enjoy the rest of the day. Until next time, peace out.